Welcome back to the Spirits, Mind and Soul podcast. Today I'm speaking with multi-businesswoman Sally, who talks to me about living life in a commune, her relationship with alcohol, and creating her own reality in Portugal. There's plenty of tips in here from Sally on how to do the same and how to live life on your terms. If you like this episode, please hit that like button for me and subscribe. You'll be notified when the next episode comes out. Hi Sally, so thank you again so much for agreeing to come on and share your story. So we're going to talk about your move to Portugal, but if you don't mind, I would like to hear, and I'm really interested to hear, what was life like before that and what prompted the move to go over there?
Yeah, sure. So, my life has been a bit of a crazy one anyway. So when I left school, I was in the army for 3 years. Then I've lived abroad a few times. I used to live in Ibiza, used to live in Halifax. I've always job hopped. And then I started my own business, Tan and Sparkle, when I left the army and did that part-time as well as other jobs. Started doing braids and glitter for festivals, stuff like that. So just before I moved to Portugal, it was the pandemic. It had just started, and it was actually my ex-boyfriend's idea. So he was just like, one day, I'm going to move to Portugal and live off-grid in a van. Do you want to come? So I was like, yeah, go on then. And that was it. Within 2 weeks, we was here.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I know the commune that you're talking about, and I'm really interested to hear. So I didn't know that's why you moved to Portugal. So
Yeah.
you moved to go to that particular commune?
Originally, we was going to go. There was a guy called Dan. He's got a big plot of land. They do live very freely. We was going to buy a bit of land there and have a tiny home built, like a chalet kind of thing. And then they ended up having an argument 2 days before we came. So we flew to Lisbon, got the train to Porto, had my ex's van, drove to Porto, met the van, and then drove the van to the community. We was meant to nip there for an hour to buy land off the owner, and we ended up staying there for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that because he's talked you into it, or did you just love it there when you went?
It was his wanting, if that makes sense. I actually cried myself to sleep the first 2 nights.
Oh, why? Like,
Not
did
that
you
Instagram
did
will
you
show you that.
yeah? Did you just feel that something was off, or what were the tears?
Yeah, it was more panic mode, I think, because I come with this thought of, yes, we're going to be free, we're going to be able to do what we want, and then we got to this community, and all of a sudden they was like, okay, strict no alcohol, strict no this, strict vegan, blah blah blah, all these rules in place, and I was like, but we're going to have to be free. This isn't free.
Yeah.
I don't do well with rules.
Yeah, you would think that they would know that's like you say, that's why these communities are built, isn't it? It's to live more free, being a free spirit.
Yeah.
So because I was going to say, because I that's when I started following you on social media. You were in the commune. Would you call it a commune? Is that what
Yeah.
you would have called it? Yeah. And then you spoke a lot about alcohol. So what is your relationship with that? Because I take it was just part of your life before the UK, and then obviously you're told you cannot drink while you're here, and then that was 6 months. But then
Yeah.
when you came out of the commune, I did notice that you spoke a lot about your relationship with alcohol. So what was the journey with that?
Yeah, so it kind of did a 360. So I'll start from the beginning. So when I first started drinking, it was when I first started high school in year 7, and I started. So I've got 2 older brothers, and their friends in year 11 asked if I wanted to go out on the weekends. So I was like, yeah, like thinking it was so cool, and it was every weekend since then. So I've always thought the way to have fun is to get drunk. So obviously when we was at the community and they said no alcohol, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to be boring, blah blah blah. So me and my ex used to actually go out on a weekend in the van. We was quite lucky because not many people could leave, and we made some friends, so we actually used to go drinking on a weekend anyway. I got drunk on the community once and got shouted at. I know. And then I decided to stop drinking after my ex had left and gone to Bali. I was actually working on Albufeira Strip, and the hangovers were just getting worse and worse. I was being sick, like, violently all day, and I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I've always been sick after I've drank anyway, the day after, all day. It must be my genes. But I was just like, this is enough, because I was trying to write my second book. Every time I drank, it was setting me back 5 days, and it was just, blah. So now, I don't drink at all. I did a full year and then got drunk again and reminded myself why. But yeah, me and alcohol do not mix, and I feel like I've finally got to that point where I understand that you can have fun without it.
And do you think if it wasn't for being in the commune community, that do you think you would still be drinking, or do you think that's played a part because you couldn't for so long, or because you were, restricted, I guess?
Maybe. But I feel like because I wasn't allowed it, I wanted it even more.
Yeah, yeah,
And then when I was put in the environment where I'm surrounded by it constantly, it
yeah.
made me not want it. So it's like the opposite. So maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What made you stay for so long then? For 6 months is a long time. It looked bliss, by the way. It looked like you were having the best time.
Yeah, Instagram only lets you see what I let you see, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got my
Mm-hmm.
parents on there, and I never wanted them to worry or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't all bad. I learned how to plant my own food and stuff like that. I was on the children's team, so we had loads of fun. I was on the donkey team. That was fun. But yeah, it wasn't all like rainbows and stars, and there was meetings where they'd last for hours and everyone would argue, and they believed in polygamy. Yeah, no.
Yeah. So that's obviously a different then from the idea that I thought you were going to come on and tell me that it was this blissful, because you stayed for so long as well. But that's really
Yeah,
interesting. So, I take it you have no regrets though. What an experience to go
no,
and live in
I'm
a
glad.
commune for 6 months.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we did it. And sorry, I didn't answer your question about the 6 months, did I?
It's okay.
So the reason we stayed so long is because it was in the pandemic. So compared to people living at home, locked in the house, not being able to go out to the shops, not being able to see the family, we was in freedom compared to that. And I was with my ex in his van. Obviously, I'd stopped working, so I wasn't bringing any money in. So really, I could say I had no choice. There's always a choice. I did have a choice, but I was in the middle of nowhere, in a foreign country, without knowing anyone. So if I left, God knows what I would have done. So I just kind of stayed for the ride, just to get by, get through, and then when the pandemic finished, be free.
Because you had your own clothing business as well in the UK, is that right? So
Yeah,
you didn't have that anymore when you moved to Portugal?
I did.
So you had to, or
And
did you? Right,
yeah, it was going well. And then
right.
because of Brexit, so my mum was managing all the stock, etc. But I needed to get photos, and it was really stressing me out. So I got all the stock sent to me. And then because of Brexit, posting one item of clothing cost more than the actual item. So I just thought, I'm done. I'm going to stay in Portugal, so I'm just going to leave that to the side.
So you then had to start from scratch. This is I'm really interested in the businesses, because you're a multiple businesswoman now, but those started from scratch, didn't they, in
Yeah.
Portugal, and you've now made a life for yourself. So
Yeah.
once you left the commune, do you want to tell us then about life when you left the commune and how you started your businesses and got to a place where you're now thriving, essentially?
Yeah, sure. So when we left the commune, we actually bought our own land in the centre of Portugal. There's 3 garages on it, and we had one of them turned into a tiny home. So whilst that building work was getting done, me and my ex, we came down to the Algarve for a month, and it was actually my birthday month, my 25th birthday. and we got an apartment in Villamora. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try and do some glitter bars whilst I'm here. So I reached out to a few bars on the strip, to different businesses. There was one called the YOLO Lounge in Old Town that was actually getting filmed on Channel 4. I went and did a glitter bar there for their opening. And then there was a bar on the strip, Temple Bar, who we went and had discussions about me working there as well. I just plastered it all over Facebook. This is who I am. This is what I do. Do you want me? Blah, blah, blah. Shoving it in people's faces, basically. Started getting a few bookings. And then that was when I was meant to move back to the centre, but my ex decided to go. So I was like, I'm staying in the Algarve. So, funnily enough, I actually got drunk one night and I went up to my old boss and I said, oh, I'm going to stay in the Algarve now. Can I have a job? And he was like, yeah. So I got a job. And then I was just building it alongside that for a while. And it's just been word of mouth. After I had that job, accommodation was with that. And then I met a few people through that. Then I lived it was a mansion in Bollycam. So I had my own bedroom in exchange for looking after the daughter. That opened up a whole other network of parents with children across the Algarve. A lot of wealthy families as well. So that got me into the kids' parties again, kids' picnics, and it's just been word of mouth and me plastering it on social media, like, yeah.
So what's the plan now then? I take it you're really content just living where you are. Like I say, life looks, when you look at your Instagram, it does look like, I don't even think you're faking it. It looks like you're genuinely really content and loving
Yeah.
life over there.
Yeah, no, I am living the dream. I'm lucky enough, so I do social media for a few businesses now, so that I can work from my phone. If I, in bed in the morning, if I want to, I can go to the beach and work there. So that's been my dream for a while, and it fits so well with Tan and Sparkle. And then I do for Portugal Rocks this year. I'm going to be doing the boat parties on a Saturday. I do a bit of photography for them and the bar crawls. So I get my fun party side as well, but get paid for it. So yeah, I think moving forward, I'm literally living the dream. So I wouldn't change a thing. I'm just gonna keep going the way I am. Yeah, and
Do
soaking
you
it all in.
think, well, you go, because I guess you can do your business anywhere in the world. You can take it anywhere. Do you think you will? Do you think you'll move somewhere, just try living somewhere else, or do you think Portugal is where you're going to stay?
Well, so the apartment that I live in with the zebra wardrobe, I was lucky enough. So my dad sold the house in England, and he's gifted me and my brothers the money for this as our inheritance. So it's like a holiday home as well. So
Yeah.
I'll always have this as my base. But in the winter this year, I am planning with the new guy I'm seeing, I'm planning on going to Thailand, Africa. I want to go to Hawaii, but we're going to do it as work away. So you go away a few weeks at a time, but we're just going to hop from bit to bit and travel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in exchange for a few hours work a day, they provide the accommodation and food. So I'm going to do a bit of that, but yeah, this
Yeah.
will always be my base.
Yeah. Wow. So
Yeah.
that's perfect then, that you've got that perfect place in your business there, but you can just, like you say, you can just travel and go wherever you want. It's like
Yeah.
living free. It's being a free spirit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think, is there, if for anyone who is thinking of, obviously that's the dream life, because I'm sure we've all got that, dream or desires to go and live out of the corporate world, for example, or, living location free. Is there any
Yeah.
tips then that you can share that would
Yeah.
help them?
Big time. Number one, everything is in your mind. And I know that is so cheesy and it's so hard to
It's not.
understand when you're in the normal life. But
Hmm.
honestly, if you want to go and do something, tell yourself you can and you absolutely will. You don't even need to know the hows, the whys, the whens. Just decide. It's all a choice. Decide that
Yeah.
you want to and decide that you're going to do it no matter what and find a way. Because there's ways to do
Yeah.
things that don't cost a penny,
Hmm.
literally. And my second advice would be try it. If you don't like it, the worst that happens, you go home.
Hmm.
That simple. Like, don't let
Yeah.
anyone else feed you with fear and, oh, but this could happen, that could happen. Tomorrow might never come. If you want to do something, do it now.
And trusting as well. Do you find that if you got some sort of like, for me, I'm a spiritual person, so I've taken scary leaps in the past year and just trusted that
Yeah,
everything's going to work out, and it has.
yeah, yeah. Literally, just tell yourself that everything's going to be okay no matter what. So I always tell myself, it was I just drove through Europe on my own in a motorhome, and that was the scariest thing I've ever done. And I kept telling myself, okay, as long as I wake up in the morning and I've got air in my lungs, I can see, I've got a working body, everything is okay. Nothing else matters right now. So as long as you've got that, it's not too bad. Everything else can work out no matter what. Just surrender and let it flow.
That I love that word, surrender. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. Because we fight it in resistance, and that's why we feel like, oh God, this is so hard. It's because we're fighting it and trying, not just listening. Yeah, I'm all for taking that scary leap and just trusting, because I think anyone can just look back and think, when has it not worked out?
Yeah.
Everything always works out okay, even if it's not the
Always.
way that you want. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a
So
lesson.
is there anything that you do want? Is there anything that you don't currently have in your life that you're striving for or that you want in the future?
Gosh. I've always wanted a vehicle, but this past year I'm like, I don't even want a car anymore. No,
No, you just
nothing
feel
I
like
want.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
life's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, and there probably will be at some point. But what a great place to be, where you are just at, you're just at a place where life's content. And but you've
Yeah,
created this as well. As I
yeah,
always talk on social media about how you create your own reality,
big time.
but it's about taking those scary leaps as well.
Always.
Um, What about your land that you got? Will you do anything with that? Because I remember, now that you say that, I remember seeing that there was building work going on.
Yeah, Geodome. No, that's gone now. It's got
Is
different names.
that right?
Yeah,
Right, okay. So you're just content with the apartment you're in now then, and you'll just
yeah,
travel from there. Yeah,
yeah. I'm gonna
perfect.
stay by the sea. I don't want to go up there again.
Yeah. That's my dream as well, I'm in the city. I live in the city. So
Okay.
my dream is to be location free, which in the next
Yeah,
year that should happen, and then move to
definitely.
the beach. I don't know where that beach is yet, but
Uh,
definitely move to the beach.
yeah. You'll have to explore and find one.
Yeah. Do you think, would you ever move back to the UK?
No, hell no,
No.
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 Like I've been to visit twice. And honestly, you get off that plane, you're like, after a few days, my energy gets drained, and it's not even that anyone does anything. I'm just like miserable there. And then you get off the plane here, and you're like, I swear, it's like the energy is different, and I feel it a lot, a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, food
Yeah.
is always a big one for me. I did miss English food, but now with the diabetes, I can't even pig out on what I want anymore anyway. So, no.
Is that something that happened while you were there, Sally? Diabetes. Is
4 weeks
that
ago.
you got
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow. How
I
was
know.
that then? Must have been a shock.
So shocked. I'm still in shock. It's weird because nobody in my family's got it. I'm healthy. I'm active. Yeah, I've got a sweet tooth, but nothing major. I'm not big. But yeah, they said it was going to happen no matter how I lived my life. So I'm just glad I ate the cake before.
Wow, so that's literally a life change then. You've had to change
Yeah.
your diet and be really aware of that.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
have to eat more now, which is weird.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
but you've got
God.
a good mindset, so
Yeah.
that must be helping you get through that. Yeah,
Oh, big time.
yeah.
Like when I was in hospital, everyone was like, oh, like proper worried about me. And I was like, honestly, I'm all right. I was having a good time.
Mhm.
You just got to take it in your stride. Like, could be a lot worse. I always think there's people out there that are like blind or in a wheelchair that wish they had what you have. So just be grateful for every little thing. If I have to eat
Yeah.
differently, it's no big deal. I don't mind.
It's a good attitude to have.
Thank
Is
you.
there anything else that you feel would be beneficial for anyone listening that, like I say, that wants to go and live a life like you're living? Is there anything that you feel that would help them?
Um, yeah. One, bin the fear. Do not be scared of anything. Like, a lot of things that hold people back from living the life that they want to is fear. And then it'll get to a point where it's too late. All because you were scared, and scared of what? Why? What's the worst that could happen? Like, you could literally cross the road tomorrow and may not make it to another day. So, literally just bin the fear, live life like it's your last day on earth every day, and just be a good person. Because the more good you do, the more good comes back. And don't even do it for that, just because it feels good to be good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think that's a great place to end as well, Sally. So thank you so much for coming on and giving me your time and sharing that and sharing those personal details as well. It was really lovely speaking to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Sally's story, what a journey she's been on, and I hope that you managed to get some inspiration for your own life in there as well. Please hit the like button and subscribe. You'll be notified when the next episode comes out, and all details on how to contact Sally are in the description box below.